It's a drop-in between 4:30 and 6:30. If you want to drop in and just kind of see what we're up to, ask questions, learn more about us. If you're interested in volunteering, it's just a very informal, drop-in kind of experience just to see what's up and whether you want to be involved.
Well, and there's a lot to be involved in, really, too. And what I find fascinating is every time you come on the show, we talk a little bit more just about the community involvement side, but also from the policing side of things and how really just the work that you've been able to do and collaborate with the Alton Police Department on has really been just a step and above a lot of other areas, truly.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I mean, there's some things going on in some other agencies, so we're definitely not the only ones in the game. And, there's a lot of people doing really good things. So this isn't about, kind of tooting our own horn. It's like there's a lot of need. And so I feel like, we need to voice that, and we need to understand that if we had everybody at the table, there's significant need out there. But we also, one thing I want to talk about today is, we still need to celebrate those success stories, because these are people's lives behind these numbers. I can say, oh, we've assisted this many people this year, which I've been working on our annual report for 2024, and that's going to come out soon. And so we do have those numbers, but we need to tell stories, and we need to understand that those are people behind those numbers. And that's kind of, what it's all about.
Well, and that's a really good point to make about that too, is, a part of every recovery, there should be a celebration, because, it takes a lot of work to really go through that process and really understand it and really rediscover yourself in that journey too. And so, it's pretty easy to dogpile somebody when they're already down and out, and it's pretty easy to kind of jump on the train, but create your new one whenever you're building that person back up again and recognizing that hard work and sacrifice that goes into, really getting better for yourself and your loved ones.
Well, I would say, especially with law enforcement and first responders, and you obviously know this, but all too often they see people, they help people, they report on the scene, maybe in some cases revive people or connect them to services or not, and then they never see that person again. Mm-hmm. And I would suspect that it's because they assume they've either died or moved on to another area, right? And that's not a good way to think about it, because what's quite possible, and I'm proof, and I'll tell you more, is that person found recovery and they go on to be a contributing member to society and help other people and all the good things. So you talk about a celebration. I couldn't agree more.
100% over, Jake. And by the way, Jake has joined us for the first time, so we have to break the ice here. How I do that is I normally spell something wrong the first time I have somebody on. Megan's name is easy, so I got lucky. Did I spell your last name right? Let's look at the lower third here.
It is correct.
Did I do it? Oh, gosh, I'm on fire this week. I haven't had a single typo all week.
There you go.
It's like I have a new flip sign. I'm on 7 days. But, awesome. Jake, I really wanted to talk with you about this film premiere and this panel discussion. I feel really honored that you guys asked me to be a part of it. Yeah. It comes down the pipeline March the 1st, 2 to 4 p.m. at Lewis and Clark College over there at the Hathaway Cultural Center. And, Jake, let's take us through really what this film's about and what this whole discussion is going to be about, too.
Well, so I'm honored to be a part of it, but really my story is one of many. Mm-hmm. And I think what this film can do is bring awareness to that fact, that it is one of many. I think, again, all too often people see maybe someone who's homeless in their own community, in their own neighborhood. And, we have a tendency as humans to maybe judge and make assumptions. Mm-hmm. A film like this, it's an impact statement. And what it does is it's going to, I hope, it's going to inspire hope and honestly, push back a little bit against the stigma that mental health and substance use disorders are, arguably diseases that can be treated. And, with the right support and with the right connections and with the right community support and collaboration, we can fight this thing, man. We can help people.
Well, and if it's okay with you, take me through a little bit of your journey, if it's all right to ask.
So it is. I don't want to give up too much, because a lot of this will be, come out in the film. Mm-hmm. But I've experienced the lowest of the lows. I've experienced homelessness. I was an IV substance user. Jobless, carless, no transportation. I was a drifter, I guess, as sometimes they're referred to. I've been in and out of emergency departments and behavioral health units and just the gutter of society, I guess, maybe. And, it wasn't until I had an encounter because trust me, there were many encounters with law enforcement, right? And I usually ended up in handcuffs or a jail cell. But it wasn't until the last encounter with law enforcement, who were critical intervention team, CIT officers, and they met me with compassion, and they provided some options, which was new to me because that had never happened. There was always only one option for me, and that was jail. But in this case, they provided me with some other options. And long story short, it was the pivotal point in my life that led to what is now long-term recovery.
It's incredible. I mean, truly incredible. And congratulations, too, on all the work you put in. And, you know, Megan, with this panel discussion, take me through Sacred Space's involvement in it and how important it is for your organization to, help, spotlight this film.
Yeah, so I had the kind of vision for this film. We had some funding where we wanted to be able to deliver the message that it really has to be a collaborative effort, that we need to elevate the voice of lived experience and try to work to change that narrative of what mental health challenges and substance use and homelessness is like. And so, Jake and I met a few years ago and just have developed this, we have a similar mindset, a strong connection with like what we want to bring to the community. And so asked him to be part of it. Eric Rimrod was the producer of it. Fantastic. I mean, kudos to him. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have a behavioral health background at all, but it was a very emotional experience for all of us recording the film. I think when you watch it, it's going to be hard to watch it without emotion because, addiction and these types of challenges, they touch everybody in some way, shape, or form, whether it's yourself, a family member, neighbor, loved one, whatever that looks like. So it was a moving experience for all of us. And, the message that we want to deliver with this event is just show up. Please show up. Mm-hmm. This isn't a time to hide in the shadows. Like, there's going to be many in that room who have experienced mental health challenges, substance use disorders, homelessness, some type of trauma, some type of, family dysfunction or broken relationships. I mean, you name it, it's going to be sitting in that room that day. And so this is a safe space for everyone. This is a film that everyone needs to see, in my opinion, whether you're coming to look for support for yourself, whether you have a family member that's struggling, whether you have people in your coworkers in your business, people in your pews at church, whatever it looks like, there are just people hurting and there's people struggling and at varying levels. So just show up at this event, watch this film, and we're going to, before the event, I didn't mention this, we're also going to have a resource area outside. So various providers and resources and social service in our community are going to have tables, resources available, and things for individuals to just chat with and grab some info. Then we're going to show the film, and then we're following it up with this speaker panel where we can just, as you are going to join us in moderating, just field some questions about this experience, about what kind of, support there's available to people, maybe take some questions from the audience and that kind of thing.
Well, I think it's really, just a really great point to make, honestly, over anything else is lived experience over perceived experience.
Absolutely.
And I think that,
I like that.
I think whenever you have those conversations, because we all have ideas, and we all have, ways that we can, save the world, quote unquote. But I think in this situation, you're only going to get improvements when you talk to folks that are in long-term recovery, that have that lived experience, that know what those processes were like under, maybe, different jurisdictions and different regions, how they were handled. Who knows?
Yeah.
But, it's a lot easier for me just to say do something when I've never lived it and never will hopefully live it. But you never know that. Anyway, that's another topic. You never know when it could happen to you.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I don't know. There's just so much with this that you can build on, because it just seems like so many times it's always tried to be decided upon by folks that just don't know. And that's just kind of my takeaway.
Yeah, I agree with you. And not just gaining perspective, but inviting those voices of lived experience along for the ride.
Yeah.
Like, this is collaboration. Like, we don't have time to, compete. Like, there's a lot of people in need and everybody's doing their piece of the puzzle. And it takes that. It takes a village. Like, it's not, we're doing our thing and other people are doing their thing to support in this community, whether it's homelessness they're trying to address or substance use. Sacred is all about the root causes, which is always generally rooted in some type of trauma. And so we do stress that that's the continual message, is that there's a lot of programs and a lot of options out there for people. And, even living a life in recovery, you can go to treatment. And if you're just going through the motions but not healing those root causes, it's very common for relapse to happen. And very common for continual struggle, because we got to figure out now, like, the fact that we're using this, but why are we? What are we trying to fill? What kind of void or what kind of, numbing are we trying to give ourselves from the real root of what's, causing this? And so, that's a common trend for us, is trying to heal the root.
100%. And so how long is the film?
40 minutes.
Okay.
Just enough to really tell the story and tell it well, but not, have it be, I know attention spans are difficult these days, but we just couldn't really, we went back and forth and trying to do this in shorts that we can put out through social media. Like we wanted to, but it's just, at some point you got to sit down. It's got meat to it. It's got depth to it. This is Jake's story with also me speaking in from a trauma perspective. We have law enforcement footage of, intervention that goes on in our community. So the Alton PD is featured in the film as well. And so it really kind of paints the picture of what this collaborative effort looks like in practicality.
And see, I like that you brought that up, because I think so many people just don't understand that. When we talk about, Alton Police Department's work and really the efforts they're putting in to deal with folks in trauma and the work that you guys put in together, but to go and see that and just see some of the real evidence of it at work, I think would benefit so many folks that are just not even curious, but just want to know more about what policing in our community looks like.
Yes,
that's not a speeding ticket anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like true policing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Jake, what do you hope people take away from this?
Honestly, it's just it's insight into perspectives that most people in today's society simply don't have. Mm-hmm. And so education, perspective, a new perspective, resources. They're going to get resources while they're there. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I want it to have a far and wide positive impact on what honestly is an epidemic in our community with mental health and homelessness and substance use disorder. It's a well done film. It really is. Like Megan mentioned, for me, it was interesting to watch back and get the perspective of law enforcement.
Yeah. Oh, I bet.
I mean, it's never something that I've considered, and it's just neat to see and know. And then I think by being here, become a part of, the solution.
Well, and was it hard for you at all to do the film? I mean, because I know there's got to be tough points, and even though you could revisit something 100 times, it's still got to be. I'm just curious if that was painful at all.
Sure. Well, I'll say this: I've told my story many, many times to many different audiences, and it never gets easier. I mean, there are things that happened in my past that I am most definitely not proud of.
Right.
But at this stage of my life, at this stage of my recovery, it's almost strange to say, but I almost feel fortunate, or, I feel like the things that I've gone through were for a reason and good reason, because now I'm able to use those lived experiences to then, do something like this and be a part of something like this and impact the community and have a positive impact and then help people who are still struggling.
This is just incredible. You guys can learn more by going to the Sacred Spaces of Care Facebook page. There is a QR code, and we'll take you to the website here after a quick break. It's 9:49 on this Friday morning. It's 37 degrees. I don't know why that's saying 35. It's not getting colder out there yet. We'll take a quick break. More Daily Show comes right around the corner next in the heart of the 6
I'm singing, follow me, everything is all right. I'll be the one to tuck you in at night. And if you want to leave, I can guarantee you won't find nobody.
Turn the visor upside down, Here we go.
I'm not worried about the ring.
Welcome back. A little bit of Uncle Cracker and a lot of Megan, Tyler, and Jake back in the studio, Sacred Spaces of Care, and this really cool panel discussion and the showing of this film. It's going to be wonderful. The film premiere of Finding Jacob and the panel discussion. We've just been talking about it. If you're just tuning in, it will be available, RiverBender.com/Daily Show on demand in about a few hours. 2 to 4 p.m., March the 1st. How many folks are a part of this?
So the Alton Police Department, along with Sacred, IRC, Illinois Recovery Center, where Jake works, and he's a recovery outreach specialist there. We do have a few other places. They were tremendous in it because they allowed us into their facility. We did filming within the facility. Cool. That's something else too. We were talking earlier about just community perspective. Like, most of us have never walked into a treatment facility. We don't want to know what looks on the inside or the intricacies of it.
Very true.
So getting to see that, and we have a few places in St. Louis that allowed us in that are part of his journey. Like, he literally walked his prior path, went to spaces where he had experienced homelessness and where he had been in, facilities and things like that. So
it was something else. So there was even one point in the making of the film where we revisited a place where I sheltered, I guess you could say, slept outside more or less. It was something.
Man, that's going to be powerful to watch, honestly. I mean, really
it is. It is very moving. And I find it, I know Jake personally. So not only is it, emotional and meaningful to me because of our relationship, but I have other people that are Jake in my life. And I think that if you walk in as, maybe a family member of someone with a similar story, it's Jake's story, but it's everyone's story, Right. And so when I watch it, I also think of other people in my life that I love, that either some of them, luckily like him, are now living in a life of recovery. Some who, are still struggling with mental health or active addiction and things like that. And so I think it is moving for anybody in the room, I think.
Well, and I think too, another point about it is the fact that, there's always, those folks that are kind of on that edge, that line of, could it go down into that spiral? And sometimes, I don't want to blame the loved ones, but you have, people that care about you that maybe get on you a little bit too hard, and it pushes somebody down a little bit of a darker path for whose reason or whose fault, it doesn't matter. It just happens. Yeah. And so to come here and kind of get some insights ahead of time, if maybe things aren't looking too good, right, and maybe could prevent you a long way by getting those resources too, and really working to stabilize things.
Yeah, or the opposite of, enabling and kind of, taking
more stuff. So, very good point.
Ways. It's really...
See, that's your expertise in it, though, because, that's where I think this is going to be so important, because for the folks that have my perspective, there's always that one, too, and you have all of them as you live it,
there's always, the tough love versus the enabling and everything
it's so important, right?
You have to find what works for you and your...
I like it. Yeah. See, this is going to be really just an important... I'm glad you came on to talk about this. So thanks for stopping by. Seriously, Jake.
Yeah, and we didn't mention earlier.
Hold on.
So we would like to try to get people to reserve tickets, but you are not going to be turned away if you just show up the day of and don't have a ticket in hand. They do not cost anything. It's just to help us get a head count. So completely free of charge. We have enough sponsors of the event to cover the event cost so that we can just put it out there. And like I said earlier, don't let anything hold you back from coming.
Yeah, please do. And also, to get a little bit of just a sense of the community spirit of Sacred Spaces of Care, and you can get a little bit more Jake, too. He'll be there for a few minutes. You can be a part of the trivia night for Sacred Spaces of Care. And I like this because you interweave and make it Sacred Spaces of Care trivia night.
We do. So it's all about fun. It's a relaxed atmosphere. Have a great time. Trivia is supposed to be that way. But we don't let any opportunity kind of sneak by without weaving in, our mission and what we're about. So last year was our first one. We're repeating the event this year. It was so well attended. We had nothing but positive, vibes after that one. And so we interweave stories of lived experience and testimonials of people that have worked with us and have been able to have some successes and some change and things like that. And so we just really try to, and also just promoting our local providers and businesses. And so we're still accepting round sponsors for the event, auction items for the event, because we really want to promote what is available to people in our community. So if you have something, especially wellness related, this is a great opportunity because we're able to share your information, provide resources to people at the event itself and really promote what's available to them in the community if they're looking for something, to contribute to their wellness. But even just, any business, any person, any group that just wants to kind of get their information out there and say, hey, we're here and we're available and we offer this service to the community. We do the sponsorships, the auction items, those types of things as well. And trivia is a blast. We always have a kind of a theme that runs through that as well. So hopefully everybody will come out. That's on February 8th. So
February the 8th, doors open at 6, trivia at 7 at the world famous
Absolutely.
Altonwood River Sportsman's
Yes.
Club. That is a great trivia facility. I mean, it has such a nice space to it, you know?
Yeah, it's cool. They were awesome last year, and we were coming back this year. It's just, it's a great space, very conducive for what we're doing, and so.
Jake, do you know what you're talking about yet? You got the 3 minutes already planned?
No. I usually speak from the heart.
That's what I like. That's what I like.
Yeah.
Well, and honestly, it's going to be a great way just to, really help, raise awareness and just support for, your guys' mission, you guys. And really, Megan, just because we haven't had you on in a while before we say goodbye, fill us in on some of the stuff you do throughout the year just for folks that are interested, maybe about what their support means for your organization and the folks that you help.
Yeah, so timing is perfect right now. I mentioned earlier that I was finishing up an annual report. We just put out a highlight video actually for 2024. It's a great way to figure out what do they actually do and what are they about. It's a couple-minute video, has a lot of pictures, a lot of just information about the events and community involvement. This annual report is going to do the same thing, and I'm going to be sharing that with my board on Monday, but then we'll put that out to the community. It has all of our programs, all of the services, what that looks like, what we can coordinate as far as resources. But it also we're very transparent, so it has all of our fiscal numbers as well. And we do need support because we need to sustain these programs. So we have some grants that we were grateful for that we were lucky to get that are ending during 2025, though. And if we don't have continuation support, then some of those things have, the risk of falling off if we don't have, enough funding to continue. And then we also have some big things that we're wanting to do in the community related to youth specifically. And so we need funding to try to be able to get some of those things off the ground. And these are programs that can make some significant impact. We have a new provider in Alton now that's now accepting Medicaid for youth therapy, which is huge. Yeah. And we want to be able to wrap around families more and get some of those connections happening. But, the work that we do is very people oriented. It's not materialistic in nature. I'm not going to be able to hand you a book that tells you kind of how to navigate. I have to walk alongside you to do that.
Right.
And that takes people and staffing and money. And so that's kind of where we're at with that. But so I'll put that information out. It'll be on our Facebook page, on our website and stuff soon. And like I said, the highlight video and that report really should paint a pretty clear picture of what are we about, what have we done in this past year, and what are our goals moving forward.
100%. And Jake, anything else before we say goodbye for now?
No, I'll touch on the trivia thing, though.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at trivia. I don't usually contribute to my team, but I always enjoy getting with a group of friends and having a good time and playing games and listening to music, and I look forward to seeing people there.
Yeah.
There we go. Hey, we'll see you there on February the 8th. And then if you have time on Monday to stop by around 4:30. And if you want to volunteer, learn a little bit more about what Sacred Spaces does. And don't forget March the 1st, 2 to 4 p.m. You'll see all of us there at Lewis and Clark. And we'll have a great film premiere and panel discussion. It's 10:01. We'll take a quick break for top of the hour news. You stay there. I'll stay here on RiverBender.com and Roku TV.